Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris here with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. Just got done watching practice number 3 already for the Miami Hurricanes here in spring practices. First week in the books. They're going to take a week off for spring break and then come back again for the rest of their 12 practices. But, you know, from today, I paid a lot of attention to the passing game, and I want to start with quarterback Carson Beck. As you can see here, throwing a little bit with his right hand. This is little drill right here, throwing the ball up to himself. Good to see. You know, it's the first time I've seen him, you know, since he's been out here at practice, throwing with his right hand. So something small. It's not the full-on throws. And when they did quarterback drills later, he didn't make any throws with his right hand, anything like that. Even bouncing the ball off the ground, he uses his left hand that quarterbacks like to do, bouncing the ball up to himself. He's using his left hand for that too. But overall, it's just good seeing Carson out here and go through these little bit of drills. One thing I've noticed with practices this week, and you kind of see it and you expect it, but just seems to be a guy that's enjoying himself. Kind of always has a smile on his face. Today I was watching a quarterback drill where they were just kind of working through some things, and you know, he was, you know, talking to Luke Nickel, the freshman, quite a bit. They even either working on some handshake celebrations or whatever it might be, but those two were talking quite a bit, and you kind of see a little bit of Carson's personality again, the smiling, and seems to be enjoying himself in that quarterback drill that I was watching. And look, with Carson out, this is a great opportunity for guys like Emory Williams, Luke Nickel, as I mentioned, and Judd Anderson to get reps. And just watching them go through this drill in particular, going through contact. They had one of the big pads. They wanted the quarterback to kind of catch it, you know, take the snap there, make an accurate pass while dealing with some contact that might come to either their chest or even their feet, whatever it might be, but just kind of working on that, kind of working through some drills there. So good to watch those guys. And then Judd, and also just watching Judd and Emory go through this half field 7-on-7 work where they're splitting the field there. And that was good, you know, just kind of watching them do that. And Emory, I had him going 5 of 7, Judd going 3 of 4, completing those passes. There were some good things that I saw in the passing game there. You know, it started off, JoJo Trader gets downfield, a throw from Emory Williams looked like it could be a big catch by JoJo, but Emmanuel Carnley got his hand in there and got a pass breakup. So that was good for the defense, for Carnley to have a play like that, because to me, Carnley's been up and down this week. You know, later on in the drills, I saw him give up a deep ball to freshman Joshua Moore, good catch by Moore, not great coverage by Carnley, and that's how it's kind of been. And that's kind of how it's been a little bit what I've seen from these new defensive backs. You know, another thing that I've seen also, I think Charles Brantley has been lined up with Trader quite a bit too, and in this instance had a penalty that looked like he's just holding too much. So that he's got to be able to, you know, be able to guard a guy like Trader without holding or grabbing or PIs or whatever that might be. And it could just be some transition as he gets used to this, but that's just something I've noticed. I think Trader's doing a good job of separation. And Shannon Dawson said afterwards he just wants JoJo to continue what he's doing, you know, and hopefully, essentially, he said when I asked him about wide receivers and the youth and experience they have there, kind of just said he feels like hopefully these young guys have learned a lot from the upperclassmen now that it's their time to step up. Now, flipping to the defensive side of the ball, probably should have mentioned this earlier. It was great seeing Ruben Bain work with Jason Taylor after practice for a good 30 minutes. You know, they were kind of working on a lot of pass rushing moves. Wesley Bassint was there too, working on pass rushing moves, in particular some double swipe moves, which was great to see. Just anytime you see that interaction with Taylor and Bain, who I think has a potential to have a really good year this year, but definitely has to play better than he did last year. And Ruben spoke about this team and what he wants to do, and felt like it was good seeing his family out here at practice. He likes that connection, one of the benefits of being able to play at home here in South Florida. And he just feels like, you know, hoping to put last year behind him, you know, not just individually, but the defense itself. But again, good to see that extra stuff being put in with Taylor there and just kind of learn a little bit more, you know, getting that on-field instruction from somebody that's done it. And then the other receivers, you know, all eyes on Ray Joseph. He's a guy out of the slot, expected to step up here in year 3. And, you know, just watching him go through a punt return drill, for example, you know, they're not tackling or anything like that, but you could just see him kind of get through, kind of scoot through the defense a little bit, show his agility, his speed, and kind of what makes him good. And that was good just to see. He's one of those guys that they're being used right now as a potential punt returner, certainly after what happened last year, but other guys got opportunities too. Malachi Tony, a freshman, you know, he's a guy to watch for. Gerard Pringle Jr. and even Dalen Upshaw, those guys getting opportunities there. So just kind of watching those guys operate, but especially with Ray, you know, it's such a big spring for him. Again, I said this before, Doesn't matter who the quarterback is right now during spring ball. These guys, these receivers have to produce and have good springs, and I think they'll really help them for the season. So watching Ray quite a bit, as well as JoJo, and these other guys are coming along. And I want to touch on something about with the freshmen. The 3 guys that are here, I touched on them earlier: Malachi Toney, Joshua Moore, and Dalen Upshaw. And I was hearing positive things about all 3 of them during the off-season workouts, that all 3 of them have impressed, and that's good to hear, because I think based on the roster right now, when you look at it, these guys are going to have opportunities to play, and they're going to need these guys to contribute. Somebody's going to need to step up and be a guy that they can count on amongst these young guys. I think certainly that is on the table, and they got to have a good spring, a good summer, and whatnot, but certainly that is a possibility for these guys. Toney out of the slot, you're seeing the agility, the speed translate to this level. Joshua Moore, very easy to see his size. They just don't have a receiver like him on the roster right now, with CJ Daniels not out here. But then also too, a guy like Dalen Upshaw. There was a catch today. I wasn't able to get video of this session, but I thought Dalen made a really good adjustment on a quick throw, again on this half field play, and just made a quick adjustment, caught the pass, and got upfield. Just showing a glimpse of his ability, which was great to see. Then a couple more notes offensively before I switch to the defensive side of the ball. Some things there, but running back Jordan Lyle spoke after practice, says he's up to 205 pounds and even getting 208, maybe wants to be around 210. He arrived at 190, so his weight has gone up since he arrived, and I asked him about that, just what he's noticing the most, kind of hovering around that 205 range, and he said, just feeling stronger and essentially taking on contact. It's not full pads, but he feels like that'll be the biggest thing with him, and just being able to take on more contact, maybe get some runs, be able to get some extra yards after that first contact. So that's something to watch for. He said he feels like his speed is there, maybe a little faster. I feel like that's always important to hear when guys get a little bit bigger, so that'll be something to watch for with Jordan. He's certainly excited. I asked him too after practice what he wants, what his goals are for spring practice. Essentially, at the end of spring, what did he want to accomplish? And he felt like just all around wants to be better at everything. Pass protection, mentioned that a couple times, that's big for him. Just running the ball and making good reads, just everything. Wants to be better all around with his all-around game. So that he certainly just understands what it takes. In my mind, he understands what it takes for him to be successful this season. Another thing I want to mention defensively, I'm going to show you guys the clips right here. Just a couple clips, but able to watch this offensive line versus defensive line. Being able to see this was great, and get video of it. You're seeing a little combo blocking stuff that with the offensive linemen, kind of working on some defensive linemen. It's not the full 5-on-5 stuff or 5-on-4 type of thing with a full O-line versus a D-line, but it's good to see this. And just the interactions here, again, this stuff is going to pick up in full pads, but this is just good to see so far. This competitiveness, I really like what I've seen here, and sometimes the offensive line does well, sometimes it's the D-line, and look, a lot of the guys on the D-line are looking to make big jumps. They need these second-year players. That's kind of the story of the spring. These second-year players taking a big jump. Justin Scott on the defensive line, Armando Blunt both spoke after practice. Both of these guys need to really step up and have big years, be productive in whatever roles and how much they're playing, but both of those guys need to really have big years. And again, those are 2 guys on the defensive line to really keep an eye on. And then another guy, kind of going back to the secondary, I forgot to mention him earlier, but Zachariah Poyser, a safety coming over, a guy that they're expecting big things out of. Had a really nice play on that half field that I was talking about earlier, but a really nice play where he didn't get a pass breakup on what I saw. Ball didn't even get thrown his way, but just his read and react, his burst from the safety position to cover the flat. I thought it was good to show, just to see that burst. It was good to see out of him. And then I know a lot of people are excited about Xavier Lucas as that corner, looking to be the top corner on the team. High expectations out of him, had an interception the other day, so he's been good being able to watch him kind of move about and go through individual drills and also kind of going against the defense. So he's been good to watch, as well as the rest of these guys. And before I wrap this up, I want to go back to tight ends. I didn't mention them earlier. I'm trying to hit on all the positions. They were right in front of me when we're out there, so had a good look at the tight ends. And Elijah Lofton is a guy that they're expecting big things out of him, and he's excited about kind of what he's going to be able to do this year, kind of looking for a big off season for him to, again, one of these second-year players. But Lofton's there, but a couple other guys, Alex Bowman, a guy I transferred over. I think Luka Gilbert stands out literally because of his size, just great size there. So one thing Dawson said about the tight ends when he was mentioning them feels like they're going to play a lot of guys. They played a lot of guys last year. It felt like Elijah Royal could have been even more productive if they kind of just used him, but they want to get other guys involved, and that's just the philosophy that Dawson has. They want to use multiple tight ends like they want to use multiple running backs, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about the tight end position. But again, Lofton's going to be the guy that's expected to kind of lead that group, be the top pass catcher amongst the group, I believe, and then other guys I think will get opportunities. But it was just good to see them. Jackson Carver kind of going through some drills, Hunter Carver's brother, good to see him kind of go through some drills, as well as, again, Luka Gilbert really stands out. Good size for a tight end, a young player, somebody to keep an eye on. But that's going to wrap everything up. I do want to mention it was great seeing Andy Borregales out here doing some kicks afterwards in the practice facility. Saw a couple other former guys, didn't mention this week, but Tommy Streeter, anybody on that Northwestern team, anyone from that recruiting class in general has meant so much. It was such an influential recruiting group for Inside the U when we first started this whole thing. So good seeing Tommy back out here. KJ Osborne was back out here as well. So good seeing former guys come back. It's always good to see. And then a good environment with recruits. A lot of recruits here today. Plenty of VIP information on InsideTheU.com. A lot of recruits here today and this week. Big time guys too. It was good seeing those guys. Some local guys and some guys from out of state as well. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the week of practices. But drop in the comments below, who do you want to hear more about? Who am I missing on? Who are you curious about? Even position groups. But I'm looking forward to getting more into this, full pads, and kind of keep this thing going. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. And take care.